often referred to as devil birds and things like that. It's have you not heard this?
Oh my God.
And
No.
it's all based around the amount of work that goes into hunting them. Hey everybody, Ethan here with Standing Stone, and we're going to talk a little bit today about ammunition. All right. First and foremost, if you've listened to our podcast in the past, we started off with a you ask, we answer, and we've made kind of an evolution to be able to include more things and incorporate a little different venue, as well as allow Kat and I to split off and talk with the things that, kind of drive us a little more, or definitely more important to us, to just offer more to you. As we have done this, we've kind of been able to provide a very interesting collection of new things. And today we're going to be talking specifically with Hunter about ammo. This is something that's been a pretty big topic through the beginning part of this year. And I would say, I think we're going to get some answers here, but I also do believe that there are some things in and amongst that you guys already may be thinking or know or have the right assumptions to. Now, if you are listening for the first time, definitely I want you guys to reach out on all of the platforms, or if you're finding us here, we are on Instagram, we are on YouTube, and that's where we make a majority of our videos and different things like that for training. As well as if you are looking for help specifically to training your dog, definitely reach out to us at patreon.com/Standing Stone Kennels. Now, the most important thing here today is Hunter. Hunter is an awesome guy, works with Kent, and I'm going to give him just a minute here to introduce himself.
Yeah, so I run all of Kent's social media, starting to get into more of the marketing side of things here. Wear a lot of caps, and I've going into my coming up on my fourth year here. So it's been a awesome gig with a tremendous amount of benefits. Really get to travel all over the place, explore, meet new people. It's been a lot of fun.
So you said you're working primarily in the media department or marketing department with Kent.
Yeah, so social media, handle all the social media, print advertisements. It's turned into me wearing a bunch of different hats around the company as a whole, but it's been a blast traveling all over the country, meeting new people, getting to go to all these different shows and experience how different communities of people handle waterfowl hunting, upland hunting, dog training, how everything changes pretty much everywhere you go. It's a super cool and unique thing to get to do.
Okay, so background in media work or media relations, you go to school for this, or?
I went to school for criminology, so it lined up pretty much at zero. I get to use it. I get to use the crim degree a little bit. Reading people is a hobby, so being able to use that and kind of see through people doing different things. Everybody and their brother wants to be a influencer these days, so kind of seeing people that actually enjoy doing it versus the guys that just want the free product to exploit a situation, I guess. That's about the only time I get to use my degree these days.
Sure, I understand completely. Now, like I said, you were a little quiet here at the beginning. You said you've been with Kent for 4 years?
I just finished up year 3, I think I'm starting year 4 right now. It's been 3 years and a month, essentially.
3 years and a month. I like it. Now, all of those things being said, this is the main question that I wanted to ask you, and I want to jump right into this right away. Where has the ammo gone? Okay. Where has the ammo gone? This is a question that a lot of people have been asking me specifically. And it's like, I don't have an answer. I don't know, but I'm going to see if we can get somebody that does.
Yeah. So to answer the question, the ammo has gone everywhere. It has been a non-stop start to finish process with us. We never shut down, kept everything running through the whole time. shipping as much as we can as soon as we can. And it's been a never ending, constantly evolving process that just doesn't ever seem to get better. So hopefully within the next year or two, it starts to slow down a little bit. But the closer we get to that, the closer we get to the next election, which is always a great year to sell ammo. So that'll be a whole nother storm coming. So it's not over yet.
So I think that on average, people have seen this. If you've been in the United States, you've seen the effects that COVID has had on supply and demand. And it's my question kind of, you said it's going everywhere, right? So has the actual production amount that you guys produce, numbers wise, has that gone down, or has it stayed the same, or has it gone up and
Um,
more people are just buying ammo?
it's gone up from pre-COVID. Uh, I mean, you have the way that everything's going now. You still have guys that normally walk into any store really, and normally buy 2 cases of ammo. They're going in and buying 5 to 10 cases of ammo.
Sure.
So the guy that normally goes in to buy a couple boxes goes to buy a case, freaking out, and he can't buy that 1 case of ammo. So then suddenly there's no ammo. I mean, it's really luck of the draw at this point. Walking into a store and finding it on any given day. We have guys going to all these shows. We have guys that say, "Oh, I have a ton of ammo at this store right here as a chain store," and then a guy 50 miles down the road, same chain store, never saw it, never. So it's really just, you almost have to walk in at the right time.
Yeah. And that comes down to, basically memes are what this day and age has kind of been able to deal with the problems of the world with. And
Hmm.
I think everybody firsthand dealt with the silliness that was the toilet paper shortage, right?
Oh,
And
it's the exact same thing, but it's just never. I've used that analogy hundreds of times, and it's just the another super interesting thing is, especially on the social media side, looking at all the Facebook forums, all that stuff, you get guys that will take an inch and turn it into a mile with little bit of information that they get from some of these manufacturers. And then you get guys, I mean, we've had people call in to our direct line and ask how much Biden's paying us not to produce ammo. Like it's
that's a
nuts.
serious thing.
A dead serious thing. It is the amount of stuff that people get off of Facebook, just social media in general, that they run with, and they will get like, that guy was legitimately angry and was like, "This is messed up. Trump would have never done that." Like, it was just something you would have never thought of, and it couldn't be the exact opposite. Like, we are trying. It's ridiculous.
Facebook is definitely the place that everybody should go for all of their news. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
everything you see on
100%.
the internet, 100% true.
Okay, so I was talking with you at Pheasant Fest, and for those of you who don't know, Pheasant Fest is the National Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever, excuse me, banquet, and it moves around in the Midwest. But that was was it held in March? Am I just
March, middle of March.
Yeah, middle of March.
Yeah.
Okay, so we bumped into you there. Now, is that the first time you guys have been to that show?
Hmm. That is. So there's a ton of different shows that, like this year, first time at NWTF, first time at Pheasant Fest, and then we'll do the first time at Delta Waterfowl this year in July as well. So we'll be traveling quite a bit this year.
Okay, so obviously, if these are the first time at some of these new shows that kind of pull into maybe a little different venue, there's some stuff that we should be talking about here shortly on why the change and what the plans are from ending up being at those shows. But I
Mhm.
do want to take just a half step back, because while we were there, and this kind of goes into where has the ammo gone aspect of things, you brought up quite a few things that I never even thought about. Now, you talked about, yes, maybe there was a different run of things that were shortages, right? So there were struggle to get primers at one point in time. There were struggles to get shot cups, just all of the supplies.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't have to list out all the supplies in it, but it would be,
Yeah.
those were the specific things coming and going. And though it wasn't necessarily a shortage of ammo per se, because you guys are selling as much, if not more than what you were before, it was more
Mm-hmm.
of just a lack of ability to keep up with the demand, because the demand grew due to this hoarding mentality almost that kind
Mm-hmm.
of goes, and it grows. It's a weird thing. And I am no less guilty than anyone else in the respect, and almost more from a true necessity from a business standpoint. I mean, we train bird dogs,
Yeah.
and without ammunition, I cannot train bird dogs. And that's how we're making a living. It's a livelihood thing at this point. It's not, I want to have 10 cases of ammo stacked on the shelf so that I can look at it. I
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to have ammo to be able to train bird dogs. Now, everybody has goals, everybody has ideas, everybody has plans, and need ammo for a specific trip or an event or a thing or a whatever, or just the hobby of having the ability to shoot clays and trap and go hunting. All of that is a necessity. But so you had mentioned a couple different things that were surprising to me, and it was that as much as shortage in supplies, there was a shortage in truck drivers.
Yeah. So we get all of our hulls pre-primed from France. So
Okay.
getting all of our, when it comes across on the water, some new regulation just changed where it has to get scanned, and it takes longer, and truckers are highly efficient. So if you have something that takes twice as long to do one shipment, they're not going to do that shipment. So that's the newest issue that's sprung
To
recently. Is,
probably overly simplify it, they get paid by a route or a load or a
mm-hmm.
delivery, right?
Yep. So if it's going to be one, if they can get two loads in, why would you not do that? Is essentially what it's boiling down to at this point.
Yeah,
So,
100%. I mean, it makes sense from the outside looking at their perspective, right? It's
mm-hmm. Oh, makes perfect sense.
okay. So it's more there have been some shortages with materials, but that's to try and keep up with a higher demand than what has normally been. So that's something that people could not prepare for.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, so if
People
you look at
meaning
it,
Kent.
yeah, it's from everything that I've seen, all the ammo manufacturers are saying they're up 15 to 20%, 15 to 25% year to date. So if you take that and multiply it, I mean, you're looking, some of these component guys are up over 100% on the year. There's,
Sure.
you can't sustain, nobody can sustain anything like that. And the biggest thing that I didn't even think of till it happened. So everything stateside, guns and ammo, considered an essential business. Everybody stayed up and kept working. Everything overseas. So our sister company, Game Bore, who makes all of our bismuth and lead shot, they are not considered an essential business, which I don't think a lot of people think about more often than not. So that's a whole nother thing going on that helped just fuel the fire on this.
So you said the hulls come pre-primed from France.
Mm-hmm.
Did I hear that right?
Yep.
Okay. So is that something you guys outsource, or is that an individual factory that's Kent owned there, or?
It's all outsourced.
And then the manufacturing of the rounds themselves are done in
Carneysville, West Virginia.
Carneysville, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm. About an
Now,
hour north of DC.
an hour north of DC.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cool. The
Oh yeah.
Game Bore, you said Game Bore is the sister company that makes
Mm-hmm.
the bismuth shot.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. Where are they based out of?
UK.
So in the UK, they're considered not an
Not an
essential
essential
business.
business.
Interesting. All right. Now, me specifically, I want to jump into this a little bit because a lot of people ask. I do a fair amount of upland hunting, and as an upland hunter, I primarily pheasant hunt. I would say with secondary to mixture of different things from sharp-tail, prairie chickens. I would love to go hunt hunts, but I have not had the opportunity. And then some combination of different quail subspecies. And for the most part, I shoot fast lead. And through my 20 gauge, I like to, because I mostly shoot 20 gauge. It's a smaller gun, just what I've gotten used to, more comfortable with. And I think that that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that I want to touch on with this specific statement. People ask all the time, and that's why I want to jump to this, is what do you shoot? Why do you shoot it? All of these, specifics around the equipment, right? I shoot Beretta shotguns is what it is. I have shot other shotguns. Other shotguns exist. There are drastically higher dollar shotguns and drastically lower dollar shotguns. Beretta falls kind of in a category that fits, and the gun fits me, right? The other side of it is I shoot 3-inch 6s at pheasants because I like them to die. I carry a little extra punch there. Is it necessary? Not always in all situations, but it's going to leave less crippled birds out there and different things. And so when it comes down to, if you're asking what specifically do you use and why, the question should be more of finding something that's comfortable to you, because I have a buddy that shoots and has pulled up to try and shoot my gun. It doesn't fit him the same. He's like, I don't like it, but he does like Benelli shotguns. And the way that they are set out of the box, stock, whatever, not fitted or customized in any way, shape, or form. When I mount that Benelli, I am looking right into the rib. Like I can't see over it. It's just how it works. Where the way he mounts, he's looking perfectly, and he has the exact opposite problem when he tries to shoot a Beretta. So the guns are different. Find something that fits. Now, the fact that I am shooting a 20 gauge, it's what I'm comfortable with. I shoot those 3-inch 6s out of the Kent fast lead. When we are shooting places that we need non-toxic shot of some form, I prefer more stopping power. So we shoot the upland bismuth loads that you guys have got. And typically those we shoot number 5s. I don't know that you go as small as a 6 with the bismuth. I think 5 is you have to help me with this one.
20 gauge 3-inch. 20 gauge 2 3/4. We have 6s.
Okay. But what we've been shooting is primarily 5s because bismuth, this is another thing. So there's several different types of stuff, and we're going to cover, I want to break it down for people because there are a lot of discrepancies in this, and I think you're going to have a lot of valuable information. But when you look at different shot that go into these individual shells, right? We've got lead, we have steel, we have bismuth, we have tungsten. Are there anything else that's being utilized right now than those, or are those the 4 main?
No, those are the four main ones that I would stick with.
Okay. So
yeah,
you hear of things like steel shot doesn't do as good a job as lead. And you hear about old timers talk about this too, right? Oh, back in the day, if you could shoot ducks with lead, it'd be a totally different story. Well, I think the technology has changed drastically as far as in the individual shells themselves go, and the guns and everything, choke tubes down to just patterning better. But the main differences between these are going to be density. And on the box, each Kent box, you actually have information about that.
Yes, sir. And then the website is also chock full of information on it.
Okay.
As well.
So steel being the least dense, the least actual quote unquote stopping power. It is what it is, but it's non-toxic, right? Then you've got bismuth that adds, it falls just below lead as far as density goes. Is that correct?
I want to say so. The bismuth comes in at 9.6 density.
Okay. And I think, let me look this up real quick. I think lead's like just above that. 11.29 grams per cubic centimeter. Is that how that's figured?
Density? Yeah, that is exactly it.
Okay. So 9 to 11. And then we've got tungsten comes in like at a whopping way above, is it almost 15?
No, so our tungsten is not, it's not the TSS tungsten that
Okay.
you'll get. I want to say our tungsten is about a 12. So
Okay.
it's about the same. It's the most comparable to lead that you're going to get.
Gotcha. So you've got essentially the similarities there. Now, what I've done a little jumping here. I talked about the specific things that I shoot. It's the 20 gauge. We're shooting 3-inch sixes in the fast sled, and it patterns well through the shotgun. It does a good job at killing birds, which ultimately I don't want to cripple birds. We try and shoot things that we can harvest, and crippling does no good.
Hmm.
Now, in the non-toxic options, I've shot bismuth and done well with that in upland and the public properties that we have to do. We have to be shooting non-toxic. And I mean, there's an argument from some folks to be able to say going non-toxic is more the route that everyone should go. It's better for the environment and so on and so forth. I personally don't buy into that 100% yet, but am happy to follow the rules where the rules say. And
Hmm.
then I actually had the opportunity, and I talked to you a little bit about this, but to shoot tungsten at Big Geese this fall.
Awesome experience.
Yes, it was. My wife and I both shot the tungsten, the specific rounds. They come in like a 3-inch number 3. Is
Hmm.
that the
That is it.
that's a big boys?
That, and
Okay.
they beat them up.
And let me tell you, they did. It's one of those that, um, on average, I would say that 12 gauge carries more. And it's also the fact that they have bigger loads that those guns can handle, right? You've got
Hmm.
more room to work with, you've got more stopping power. But being a big fan of a 20, I like to shoot that on a regular basis. We got to shoot those. Now, it's also expensive. Okay. Um, there is no doubt about that. And when I had the box there, that was the biggest, we got the biggest crap from the blind of how are you even shooting these? And I said, well, we do have a deal with Kent. We are on your team. We get ammo credit. And I thought, we'll try this as a box and see if it's truly worth it or not, or how it actually works out. And I'm going to say hands down, it was insane because we had tried in the past. I tried to shoot the bismuth waterfowl loads, which do well, but when you're shooting at big geese, and I'm talking not
Big.
light geese are a whole different story. You can easily kill light geese with number 5s out of those bismuth
Oh
waterfowl
yeah.
loads, no problem. And at longer
Hmm.
distances, even. I mean, 20 gauge number 5s bismuth will kill light geese all day long. There's no question about it. Just the same as cranes. That's what we shot at cranes, were the number 5 bismuth, which it was because there was the potential that we would be pulling some geese in as well.
Hmm.
So, um, there's a lot of different options out there. And I think that the biggest thing that people need to realize and think and be doing is finding something that they feel comfortable and confident with. And that brings me to my question for you. Do a little talking, but what specifically what are your go-tos?
Business, hands down. Um, all around. I mean, I shoot bismuth fours, sun up to sundown, first day of the season, last day of the season. I'm not the type of person that likes fumbling around. So when I'm not traveling, we mainly hunt the rivers in West Virginia. Probably don't recommend doing that. It's more of watching the sunrise than actually hunting. But it gets you out. You get I mean, our season ends late January, so it gets you late January, end of duck season, and then you start turkey season mid-April here. So it definitely helps ease the pain of seasons ending. But bismuth 3-inch fours, early season ducks to late season honkers, it just absolutely crushes them. Now, with that being said, tungsten is a beast of a round. Got to use that. I think wanted to say last time we used that we were duck hunting, sea duck hunting off the coast of Maryland, and that
Oh,
was a
cool.
pretty awesome. Oh yeah, that was a ton of fun.
Okay, sea duck hunting. Did you end up laying in one of those coffin blinds, like out in the decoys?
No, I was actually in the largest self. He claims it's the largest sea duck boat. It's with Jeff Coates or Pit Boss Waterfowl on
Pit boss
Instagram. He's
waterfowl.
got this.
Okay.
It's like I want to say it's a 35-foot just
Good night.
behemoth of a boat, and you take a string of ducks, tie an anchor to it. It's like 20, 30 feet long, and they'll land right in it. It's a crazy experience. Wish may have gotten a little seasick, but on the second day, the first day was awesome. It was super cool. Water was like glass, and then the second day, very not cool. Waves were. I mean, we were the way it was rocking. There were birds would land in the decoys, and you wouldn't see it until you were on top of the next wave, looking down into the decoys. It was,
Goodness.
yeah, it was not. It was fun. It would have been a blast if I wasn't green as can be, but looking forward to doing it again. That's for sure.
Well, I've got a buddy that keeps kind of hounded me to get up there, and he's got some of those. He's got I don't know the specs on the boat, but he's got a boat that's rigged out for sea duck hunting, and he's got some of
Hmm.
those little blinds that you blinds that I think they're called coffin blinds or something. You float out in
Yeah.
the decoys. It's a little boat
Hmm.
basically that you're at the water, and
I'm
those
on water level with them. Yeah.
don't the birds fly lower? They stay close to the water. They're not
Hmm. Like feet above the water,
feet above the
and they
water instead
zoom
of
in,
big
and
groups coming in from up high.
yeah, and then they'll see it, and then just at the last second, bank and land. I mean, it is a real quick process,
Cool. Very
and
cool.
they are pain, a pain to knock down. I mean, they are the most toughest, most resilient little ducks in the world. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It's nuts.
Now, you said duck hunting in West Virginia. What species are you specifically after there?
It's This year was a little different. So it got really, really cold towards the late end of the season, and we were getting tons of mallards, which we don't normally get a whole lot. Black ducks, mergansers. There's another big thing. Bufflehead. I mean, you can get kind of a mixed bag depending on the day, but we don't really get good until all the ponds and streams start to freeze up on us. This is when it really starts to get good. We had a ton of geese come in too, which was a lot of fun at the late season.
Geese, Canadas or
Big, big Canadas.
big Canadas? See,
Hmm.
when you can hear like them come down with a thud and it's almost dangerous for them to drop on top of you, it's kind of a cool deal.
Oh yeah, it's super cool. So we're probably about a couple miles up from Harper's Ferry. If you've ever heard of that, it's like a big Civil War battlefield.
Okay.
So you have geese coming in over this ridge, and they're immediate. As soon as they hit the ridge, they're cupped up, and they're like 200-300 yards, floating right down into the decoys. It is a insane thing to watch. I mean, sun's hitting them in the face, and they're just dropping down into this river bottom, a
That's
couple
awesome
100 yards cupped up. It's super, super freaking cool when they do it.
when they
That's
do
the
it.
biggest. Yeah, when and if they do it.
I mean, that's waterfowl hunt any way you look at it. Rarely have I
Hmm.
gone anywhere to waterfowl hunt and not seen a bunch of birds because you sit near a roost or you sit near a feed field or in a feed field, and you typically are going to see the birds. Whether they're going to cooperate for you or not, it's a totally different story.
And that's why it's called hunting. If you had success every time, it'd be called killing, and everybody would do it. But
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to circle back here. You mentioned this is the first year that you guys have been to Pheasant Fest. It'd be the first year that you've been
mhm.
to the Northwest Turkey Federation's. Is it
National Wildlife Turkey Foundation or
a
Federation.
national NWTF?
Hmm.
Right. Okay.
That's a good show. That is a heck of a show.
Where is that based out of?
That one's in Nashville
In Nashville. Okay. So
in the second week of February.
you mentioned this to me a little bit, and I think has something to do with it. But why branching out into the new shows? Because I tell you, Kent has been primarily a waterfowl based company for quite a while, or at least that was kind of how things started.
Hmm. Yep. So we started with in 1990. So we're actually on our 25th anniversary year
Yeah.
right now. So that's a kind of a feather in the cap for us. But the first product that we started was tungsten matrix, and then stayed in the waterfowl line with Fast Deal, and it's kind of developed and opened up into more of a. I mean, we have a pretty broad assortment now, but definitely trying to expand into the upland world as much as we can over the next couple of years.
I like it. Anything cool, new, big coming down the pipe that you can let us know about?
Oh, it's coming. We got a couple of things coming. It'll be a little bit uh, before start to see stuff on it, but it's coming and it's going to be it's a good time if you haven't been introduced to Kent yet. It is a good time to become a Kent fan. I could put it that way.
I like that. Um,
Yeah.
my question for you, Hunter, where have you got planned to hunt first this year?
I as of right now, I think I'm going to be doing someplace on the East Coast. We're doing a long-tailed duck hunt. I don't know. We haven't got that tacked down yet, and then probably back down in Texas in November for a crane hunt.
Crane hunt.
And
You
there's
have
going to be
someone
another one
specific you're
then.
going with cranes?
I can't remember what we done. We went down with Cable Smith last year with Lone Star Outdoor Show with Final Descent Guide Services. I wanted to say who we went with
Cool.
last year. Yeah, awesome little group based out just outside of Lubbock.
That's a big area for cranes.
Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, I've never done it, and the craziest thing about the hardest thing that I had to deal with cranes that nobody thinks about in Lubbock, there's where West Texas as a whole, there is nothing. You can, I mean, it is no trees, nothing to
None.
bounce the sound off of. So you literally just sit next to one of the irrigation stations, take some tumbleweeds, pile it up on layup lines, stick 15, 20 decoys out in front of you, and these things just dump in. And it is, you want to talk about just getting it, they get stuck. And when you get up out of that blind, it's like, I mean, if you miss, you have a problem with your gun. There is, I mean, I was using 2 3/4 lead, like fours or fives with them this year. And it was just obliterating them. But they were 15, 20 yards, cuffed up, couldn't, I mean, they were just stuck. We were done hunting by 7:30 every morning, if that. Very unique experience for sure.
So we went, it was, you know, Brian Lasley, DT Systems.
Hmm.
Yeah. And have you ever met Ron Spomer? You know
I have
Ron
not.
Spomer? Okay. So Ron's an
Mm.
outdoor rider, and I got the opportunity to go on a hunt with the two of them. And it was a really neat experience. We were right outside Lubbock, it's exactly what you're talking about. And the first morning we saw quite a few birds, and the ones that not all of them worked, but the birds that did well. And we
Hmm.
each shot, I think I'd have to look specifically, but I think you can shoot three a person. Does that sound
Yep.
right? And you
So
said
it's a bit, all in all, it's pretty quick.
yes, yes. And we ended up shooting, it was a couple small groups. It was two, and we shot two birds a person that first morning. And then the next morning was absolutely ridiculous. And I put
Hmm.
together a video from of some footage. It's on our YouTube channel. Um, that I'm horrible at that estimating game. You know, like people talk about, oh, there were 10,000 or there 40,000 or there however many. And it's just, it sounds like an unfathomable number to try and count or estimate or whatever. But I mean, it was almost deafening loud.
Oh yeah.
Them all taking off, and that's when the most noise happens, right? You could hear them and it was pretty noisy,
Hmm.
but when they all decided they were going to get up and go, we sat and watched cranes that didn't really work. I mean, some of them were just taking off and going, right? But we sat and watched cranes work for an hour. And it was just, and they were still coming up off the ground. It was just cranes and cranes and cranes. And then once that kind of settled, and some came over and gave us a look, but never really came in inside of like a 70-yard window. So it's right on that edge where you shouldn't be shooting, right? Probably borderline, unless you're Brian Lasley. That dude's, it's like he's got a sniper attached in the front of that shotgun. But we watched cranes after crane after crane after crane group just come in and go. And it was insane. As soon as the maths, the majority of them were gone, then the last few groups worked really, really easy. And it's exactly what you said. I mean, it was like, and the birds that I shot specifically, it was 3 cranes came in and they were all just committed and they were right up front, and it went boom, boom, boom. And I shot 3 out of the one group of 3. It was, they don't take a ton. As big of a bird as they are, there's a lot of leg, a lot of wing, and not a whole lot of else there.
Now, the meat that is there, delicious.
Have you eaten it?
That stuff, oh man, it is so freaking good.
Okay, now
if you don't want it, send it up to me. I will gladly eat it.
I tried it a few different ways, and I'm going to tell you first off, everybody that's listening has heard ribeye of the sky, right? I would assume most people haven't, and if you haven't, just search it real quick, and you're going to find out that a picture of a crane is going to pop up. And these cranes that we're talking about are sandhill cranes. There are other cranes that are protected, like whooping cranes, and heck, I can't even listen to the other cranes, but I know whooping cranes specifically use. Yeah. They show up in like South
that's
Texas.
What causes them. Yeah, for Texas, there's like areas where whooping cranes are like known to be, so you can't hunt sandhills there.
Yep. But the ribeye of the sky. Now, the biggest thing that I think for me was, I personally am not a huge fan of waterfowl. It's not my favorite thing as far as eating goes. Ducks, geese. Now, I've had it prepared properly and whatever, it's delicious. And I'm not talking about wrapped in bacon and, whatever. That's a go-to way to cook wild game. And I don't think it's bad, because I think bacon's delicious. And anybody that says bacon's not delicious is not American. Okay. But, it's not the only way to prepare food. And I don't think it's a requirement to, you say, like, if I can wrap it in bacon and eat it, that it means it's good. We had some teal. There's a group of guys that I guide in South Dakota, and they're just like a collection of either wannabe or actually professional cookers, chefs, some form of, It's the one guy does like some barbecue stuff and everything is smoked or grilled and it's amazing. And then another guy's down from South Texas area, and his buddy has got a Cajun restaurant. I don't want to say chain, because he's got like a couple. It's not really a chain, but he owns a few different restaurants or manages them. So he had brought some food that guy had prepared and had learned some things as far as how to make good food and whatever else. So it's always delicious. But they prepared teal, and it was just grilled, but I believe it was skin on, and they just grilled this teal, and it was delicious. I mean, it was completely different. And I think that a lot of it comes down to preparation. Now, with the ribeye of the sky, this is kind of my caveat to people saying, if you're categorizing things from the sky, and this is the ribeye, which would be known as like the best cut of beef, or one of the best. I guess filet can argumentatively be better than that, but it's top of the line, right? You've got a ribeye. So in my eyes, waterfowl or from the sky is the worst, and this is the best of the worst.
That's a funny way of putting it.
Yeah. So when we had when we had the sandhill cranes, we prepared it a few different ways. I just grilled it. That was good. Like season it like a steak, grilled it. It was cooked right.
Yep.
It was good. It does not taste the same as waterfowl does. I think that waterfowl typically for me is really, almost metallic-y. It's got a really strong blood flavor.
Real gamey. Yep.
Yeah, gamey. And it's, now I'm going to lose it. If it comes to me, it's what the thing is that gives that flavor is, shoot. I can't think of exactly what it's called, but it's water soluble. And that's the thing that I think that a lot of people make a mistake with is not properly prepping what they're cooking. And that involves some form of soaking to get as much of the blood out of the meat, because the blood is not overly tasty. Once you get rid of that, the meat itself is drastically better. And that would involve some level of pounding it out or breaking it down and then soaking it. Do you have a specific way that you like to prepare? You got any secrets for us?
I guess I'm currently in the process of marrying a city girl. So she did not grow up around any of the hunting community whatsoever, and it's been hilarious to do it. And she's been a trooper with it. I mean, she's killed huge turkeys, deer. I mean, I don't think she shot a deer inside of like 300 yards. Like she's a trooper in that aspect of it. So introducing her into the cooking side of things has been interesting, and I've found what works for her is I'll soak it in salt water for a little bit to help draw all the blood out, and then to get rid of the gaminess, I'll put it in buttermilk for a day in the fridge, and that has seemed to work a little bit. I did that with the cranes, and I made it for one of my buddies, and I had to actually show him the packaging that the crane came in because he was convinced it was a steak. He did not believe that it was a bird, so he was over the moon with it. But I do all kinds of stuff, like turkey drumsticks is another thing that everybody stays away from. Can of Sprite, 2 scoops of Sweet Baby Ray's, and throw it in a crock pot for 10 hours. You will not be disappointed.
I like it.
Yeah, that's an interesting one I found a couple years ago that I am in love with.
So on average, I think that what you explained is a big part of making things better, which is you soak it in salt water. Now, the salt aspect of things, salt's a tenderizer, right? So you've got water and salt, and it's helping to break down a little bit the fibers of the meat, as well as, like we were talking about, rinsing blood and getting things cleaned up as much as possible. And then I believe milk, being lactic acid, again helps break things down. And then cooking it to the proper temperature, which low and slow is a good way to prevent things from getting overly tough. And then the last part of that being just not overcooking it, which I think is a big mistake that people make, right? It's really easy to do because wild game in general is very, very lean. There's really small amount of fat there.
Very.
And
another thing that I've come to realize is everybody wants to cook wild game longer because they feel like it's dirtier or needs to be cooked more thoroughly.
Safer.
Which is not I'm the complete opposite with it. So it's like 2 to 3 minutes each side, get it to, I can't remember what temperature I try to get it to, but once it's there, I pull it off, let it sit for a minute, cut it up, and it's on a plate. I never have been accused of overcooking anything. I can put it that way.
So you've got a crane hunt and a duck hunt planned. It's turkey season right now. Is this something that you typically partake in or not really?
Oh, yeah. Turkey hunting, I grew up, so waterfowl hunting is still new to very, very new to me, and I'm starting to get into that and honestly have a pretty hilarious resume with the amount of stuff that I've been able to do in the 4 years here. But turkey hunting, we have, so the factory has 300 acres that surrounds it, and it is chock full of deer, turkeys, depending on what crops are in. We'll get ducks, geese landing in the cornfield, doves everywhere. So about 45 minutes before we started the podcast, I had my shotgun over my shoulder, walking around the property, trying to strike up a time in the middle of the day. So it's a very, very cool place to be able to do. So I don't have to, I mean, tomorrow morning, going to be a beautiful, cool morning. So I'll probably be out here before work, trying to strike one up and get it done before everybody gets into the office.
I like it. The turkeys in general are kind of a strange thing based off individual states and how, like, I think Alabama, you can shoot like 5 turkeys or something like that. Kansas, different areas you can shoot 2, and a lot of the areas have moved to only allowing 1 because the numbers have declined a little bit in the state of Kansas. I don't know why. Lots of people have lots of opinions on why numbers are declining all the way around. And I think that there's multiple factors to that, right? It's not just one thing. It's not just the weather or just the farming or just the chemicals or just the predators or, it's all of those things combine into creating a change in the environment that they thrived in. So,
yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
So the super interesting thing that I've kind of taken a look at running all the social media stuff, I see a tremendous amount of content on the day-to-day basis. Just looking at, and tying it into COVID, you had, for the first time in however many, what seems like decades, you were getting the media to push everybody to go outside, go to national parks, and you saw it immediately with the amount of hunting and outdoor activities that immediately started to take over. I'm going to be interested to see what the turkey numbers are 3 to 4 years down the line that come out for this time block, to see how many more turkeys were harvested, how many more people bought licenses, and where they were at. I mean, it seems like as soon as if you get on YouTube and type in turkey hunting, you'll get the first 150 videos pop up or somebody's turkey tour that they're doing, traveling to 3 or 4 different states, shooting a couple birds in each state. And it's interesting. And I definitely think people need to start paying attention to those numbers and realizing that it's not somebody just doing it to keep people from having fun, I guess. Like if the West Virginia DNR were to knock on my door and say you're only allowed to shoot 1 turkey next year, I wouldn't question it at all. And I can walk out the front door of the office in the morning and I can hear 20 or 30 of them gobble. And I think people just get so laser focused on, hey, I got birds right here that I can go after, and they don't think about the state as a whole per se.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. It becomes, I have firsthand experience with that, with pheasants specifically. The property that we have access to up there is managed and maintained well, and we have consistently done better than what the state average is, right? So, but the state, and granted, they haven't changed. They did make a change in harvest numbers, but for the most part, it's still 3 roosters, and there's no talk of changing that, lowering it or increasing or anything like that. But it is based off of, state averages, which can be area dependent, can be habitat dependent, can be a large number of different things. So,
yeah,
I found this, and this is kind of like a fun fact. The red part of the meat, which if you look at red meat, it's red. But if you look at like wild ducks and waterfowl in general, it's darker red and deeper red than what beef would be or other red meats would be. It's actually myoglobin. Have you heard that term, or do you know what that is?
I have no. I'm going to get on the Google machine right now.
I'm going to read it to you. It's the protein found in muscle tissue of mammals that attaches to oxygen. So the reason that waterfowl are extremely high in myoglobin is because they fly in higher altitudes where there's less oxygen. So they need additional oxygen stored in their body essentially for the longer flights at higher altitudes. And that is where a majority of the stronger flavors come from, which is why
it's all
in that you get that kind of almost like metallic-y flavor or whatever it is, blood, which is what we say, blood, right? It's blood. Well, it's myoglobin. And myoglobin is water soluble. So that means you can soak it and it goes away. Well, the soaking only penetrates so deep into the meat. So if you cut thinner strips in your meat, you can soak more of it, reduce more myoglobin, and then ultimately provide a better tasting meat all the way around. Now, you can't magically soak a duck breast and turn it into beef. They're totally different creatures, but you can take away the parts that are less, you can take away some of that gamey flavor or some of what's there to be able to utilize what you are hunting and harvesting, right? So myoglobin, fun fact of the day, protein that binds to oxygen, it becomes red. So inside the bird, it's not even red, maybe. I don't know. I think that it is. But, all right, Hunter. So this is the big things that we have rolling this year, and we've talked a little bit about, is we're going to try and do a upland adventure similar to what you're talking about, traveling to multiple states, and hope to be planning this the middle to end of September to beginning part of October. We're heading north and west, chasing sharptails, potentially prairie chickens if we're in South Dakota where they're both at, maybe a little bit Nebraska. We usually would drive straight past there because I don't have as much access to ground and information in that area. But then have you ever been up to North Dakota to hunt upland game at all?
I have not at all. No.
Oh,
Anywhere at that north central part of the country. It's a big, great area for me.
Gotcha. We're going to try and go up there. That's a decent area. That southwest corner of the state is a decent area for Hungarian partridge, gray partridge, Huns.
Oh,
wow. All the different loving, hating names. I think that partridge in general kind of have a love-hate relationship with the average hunter. Chucker often referred to as devil birds and things like that. It's have you not heard this?
Oh my God.
And no. it's all based around the amount of work that goes into hunting them. Typically there's some elevation change involved, and usually you chase them up and down hills, and it becomes quite a workout. I think Huns are a little more prairie based, but what are the potentials here for us going forward in the future to be able to try and do some upland hunting together?
Oh, 100%. Let me know when and where, and I will make it happen.
We'll make it happen. You got time this year yet? Or you booked up for 22?
I could be pretty open. The only thing towards you said the end of September?
End of September, beginning part of October.
So the only kicker there is we have a bunch of local shows to do, and I believe my sister's getting married sometime in there. Okay. So I'll have to check in with her, but to be honest, I think she would understand me missing her wedding. So I'll get back to you on that one.
I'm going to go with, I bet she won't understand, but maybe. You probably know your sister better than me.
No, I could talk her into it. My mom, I could not talk into it.
I understand that 100%. Any big things that you can share with us going forward that we can be looking for? I know you kind of hinted at the fact that there is, it's a good time to be jumping on board with Kent because of the stuff coming up. Anything this year that's already okay to release, or are we same old plan, trying to get ahead a little bit?
It'll be more on the production side. It'll be more the same. We aren't going to have anything fun and new to play with for at least this year. But what I can say is starting in July, I think it's the first week starting on July 7th. We're going to be start paying attention to the Kent social media because we are going to have a ton of fun celebrating the 25th anniversary of Kent. We're going to have a ton of stuff coming out the first week of July, running it for the 25 weeks all the way to New Year's Eve.
Well, talk to us about that a little bit. What have you got to share?
So we have a great system set up now with all of our pro staffers, content development guys. So we're going to be running giveaways, big giveaways varying on region and preference. So it'll be, I don't know how much I want to give away on it. Teasing it is going to be just as fun at this point. It'll be big giveaways, 25 big giveaways.
Awesome.
For 25 straight weeks, running it off of pro staff and content guys pages. So we'll be able to really have a big showing and support for the people that keep the doors open here. And we're really looking forward. It's been a while since we've done a lot of, really any giveaway on the social media type of stuff. So being able to do it 25 weeks in a row is going to be an absolute blast.
Well, that's awesome. Folks, I think you've heard it. We've got a lot to look forward to there starting in July. It's something I would expect that you'd be able to see through our social page as well. But if you don't already, where can people find Kent? What's the best place to be looking for? On socials, in store, well, really I guess where the product is a good place to start. So we can be found in any major online retailer, big box stores, and then we have an awesome dealer locator on the website that will get you fine-tuned for all of the mom and pop stores closest to that area. I think it runs off zip code, so you'll be able to push it as far out as you want to go based upon the radius that you have. Man, that's perfect. Hunter, I really appreciate your time today. I hope you all enjoyed the little chat that we had. As always, moving forward, definitely reach out to us if you've got questions. You can find Kat and I at Standing Stone Kennels on any social platform. And we have our dog training community set up on Patreon, patreon.com/Standing Stone Kennels. As we move forward with things, we look forward to y'all tuning back in next week. I'm the guy with the pink gun. Thanks, Hunter, for being on with us today. And we'll see y'all in the next video.